Hey everybody, Tim with Tacky Fly Fishing here again for another Fly Tie Friday. Today we are going to tie a classic nymph pattern, typically used to represent midges, but can be a really good prospecting fly too. This is the simple Brassie. Tends to work extremely well as well. I like to tie these with two different colors of wire to represent kind of a ribbing. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We tie I like to tie these on a curved shank hook. With a bead, you can use either a glass bead or different types of brass beads, whatever. So we'll go ahead and just get the thread on the fly. Any color thread will do for this. We don't need any specific color because it's all going to be covered up. So I'm just using what was on my bobbin at the time that was available. And I like to come back a good ways, about right there. A good ways down the bend of the hook. You don't want to go too far down, but I do like to go a little ways down. So the two colors that we're going to use are gunmetal and black. Really subtle difference between the two, but it actually looks really cool on the fly. So we just tie in the wire at the back of the fly here. Get a couple good wraps on it, make sure it's locked in really tight, and then we'll slide those back to approximately where we want them. This is a little tricky too because this is such a small fly itself that we actually have to make sure that the wire that lays underneath doesn't become disruptive to the shape of the body. So I try to get as little as I can back here. Some folks will run it all the way up the hook so you have a uniform kind of vein throughout the hook, but I don't love that look either. So I'll get them all the way to the back and then start wrapping up carefully so that they're only kind of right at the back portion, and there's just a small taper. You don't really recognize it a lot. I bring the thread all the way up, back right behind the bead. Now we've got both colors of our wire, and we literally just start wrapping this up the hook, and they'll lay side by side. Not sure how cleanly you can see that, but you've got a cool little effect where you've got these two different colors. Very subtle difference between the two, but it almost looks like there's some segmentation that happens on this fly. So I bring the wire all the way to the front. Make sure to tie it off. You can kind of helicopter these wires off. Once you've got that, you can actually fish that as it stands, and it would work great. I like to use a bit of a hot spot at the front. For this one, we'll use oftentimes classically they'll use just peacock herl. I use a really light colored peacock dubbing that's got some blue and green in it. It's an ice dubbing. Simply wrap that right behind the bead. And at this point we can whip finish. And there we go. That is your Brassie, the two-tone Brassie. We've got the two color wired there and the synthetic dubbing at the front. So really grateful for you checking out our video for another week. We'll be back next week with another great tie. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to us on YouTube. You'll get first crack at these every single week. Thanks as always for your attention, and we'll see you next week.